Conceptually, invoking methods is not a hard topic. Put simply, invoke is analogous to a call in COBOL. In this case, you invoke methods where in COBOL you would call different procedural routines. So methods can be thought of as modules or subroutines. And you should remember that a class may have as many methods as it requires in order to manage its data. All methods are identified by their name, the number and format of the parameters that they have, and finally to the class that they belong to. This combination of method name, number, and format of parameters is often referred to as the method's signature. To invoke a method, you must identify the object that contains the method, supply the method name, and pass any parameters required by the method. Note that when you have IntelliSense turned on, you can see all of the various information associated with that method as you're going along programming. So methods can be invoked by using the invoke statement. Keep in mind that all of this applies to .NET assemblies that are managed code or assemblies only. If you're going to invoke or call any unmanaged components, you need to use the platform invocation or pinvoke. Method binding is the process by which names in code are connected to actual data or procedures. For methods, the object-oriented system has to determine the method name and the object that is to be invoked. There are two types of binding. Static binding happens at compile time and can be implemented when all of the objects and their constituent methods can be resolved. Conversely, dynamic binding occurs at execution time. This method of binding is used when the object and method to be executed cannot be resolved until execution time. Classes are made up of fields, properties, methods, and events. Fields and properties represent information that an object contains. There's a difference between fields and properties, though. Fields are like variables in that they can be read or set directly. Properties can be manipulated like fields but are implemented using property get and set methods. Data, or specifically elementary data items, can be accessed implicitly by generated set or get methods by specifying the property clause in its definition. What this means is that when you move values to an elementary data variable, the set method is implicitly called. When you move data from an elementary data variable, the get method is implicitly called. That covers COBOL, but you should also know that you may encounter various properties of objects in the .NET framework that will require you to provide an index or other value in order to get or set the value of the property. This is often referred to as an indexer. The .NET framework supports properties that reference collections of data that are similar to tables in COBOL, in that elements in the collection can be retrieved by specifying an index. In COBOL, tables are always indexed by integers. The .NET framework supports these collections being indexed by other values. As with multidimensional tables, you can also set up data collections that are indexed by more than one value. An indexer enables you to use an index on an object to obtain values stored within the object. In essence, this enables you to treat an object like an array. The properties that give you access to these collections are often referred to as indexers, as they are a means of indexing into an array or a collection of data. There are slight differences in NetCOBOL to using data that's referenced by an indexer and data that is defined as an array. An indexer is also similar to a property. As with properties, you use get and set when defining an indexer. The get accessor of a property has no parameters. The set accessor of a property contains the implicit value parameter that must be specified. Now, unlike properties, you are not obtaining a specific data member, you're obtaining a value from the object itself. An indexer is identified by its name and can be accessed through a simple name or a member access. Indexers can be static or can be an instance object. Indexers can be identified by its signature and are manipulated or accessed the same way that you would with an element. One more thing. When you define a property, you define a property name. With indexers, instead of creating a name as you do with properties, you use the this keyword, which refers to the object instance, and thus the object name is used. Get and set methods are very straightforward. The best way to remember how it works is as follows. You get information from a variable, property, or indexer that you want to retrieve, and you set information to a variable, property, or index that you want to save or modify. You can use the object property syntax, but you also have some special processing depending upon when the data is referenced or set. I recommend that you consult with the .NET COBOL for .NET online documentation for specific implementations.